Testing 1, 2. We are recording right now.
Alright, okay. Hi, my name's Susan and this is our baby Hannah. And I just want to do a little video to show you how to feed a G-tube baby. Hannah's 6 months old. No, she's 7 months old. Her corrected date would make her 6 months. The corrected date would be the due date and not the actual birth date. So I'm going to just lay her down right here. I'm just going to put her right here. And sometimes I try to feed her while I'm holding her, but that can be a little bit difficult sometimes because she's getting older and she can pull on her tube, and we don't want her to pull it out of her tummy, and her hands are kind of everywhere. I'm just going to show you this way. We start with this and this, 2 pieces, and they go together. You put it in there really tight.
Make sure they're dry.
When you get this out of your package, make sure that this is closed, because when you fill it up, it'll pour right out of there. And you want to close this, and that will clamp it.
And when you put them together, make sure they're dry if you wash them.
Yeah, make sure that they're dry, because if this isn't dry, it'll come apart during your feeding, and you don't want that. So I'm just going to show you how you prime it. Put a little bit of your milking there. And then you're just going to put it right back in the bottle and unclamp it.
To get all the air out of the lines.
Now there's no air in there because we don't really want to put any air in baby's tummy. Then you're ready to go. But this is just to show you. So now, Hannah's hungry and she's ready to eat. And so
You want me to go close up over there?
I put this, yeah. This is her Mickey button, and all you do is you open it up, right there, really easy. You can twist it around, if that's good. And then you have this, you see a little black line, and all you do is line it up with the black line on here. And push it in. You're not going to hurt baby. It's good to use both hands. This one's holding on, that one's pushing in. Then you turn it 3/4 of the way around. Really easy. You'll learn to do this with one hand if you have to. Make sure that is still clamped, and make sure that is pressed down. Now with Hannah, we have permission from her pediatrician and her GI doctor to dip her binky. You don't want to do that unless your doctor tells you to.
Explain why.
And that is because she can associate the taste of the food and having the experience and the swallowing and all the connections that take place while we're filling her tummy with her food. And sometimes I'll do that throughout her feeding. So I'm going to pour some in here. I don't always like to fill it all the way up, because if they have air in their tummy, now I unclamped it, so now it's going to start going down. If she has air in her tummy, you'll see air coming up out of here, and that's all right. Sometimes you may see maybe some her vitamins or something brown coming up. It doesn't matter what comes up out of there. You can just leave it there and let it go right back down, because that's where it came from. That's what her doctor told us. So this is a gravity feeding, so the higher you hold it, the quicker it'll go. The lower you hold it, the slower it'll go. And you'll learn as you are feeding your baby and you're doing it more and more often, you'll kind of get a feel on when to lift it or when to lower it. Sometimes I'll even close the clamp if I think it's going too fast, because that might give her a belly ache if she gets it in your belly too fast. A feeding should probably take 20 to 30 minutes maybe. And with Hannah, we put a little bit of thickener in there. If it's too thick, it doesn't want to go down, but you're going to learn all this as you go. Now, also with Hannah, you notice if you've seen up close, it looks a little bit red there, more pink. And when we first brought her home, I was very concerned about that. But that's just with Hannah. It's not really irritated, it's not infected, and it doesn't seem to bother her at all. And so it's just kind of where the button is. And at first I did not want her on her tummy for tummy time, which is very important. I thought it was hurting her, but I think it disturbed me more than it did her. So tummy time is really important, especially if you're having to feed a baby this way. It's always best to hold them in your arms, the way God created them, close to your face. And I do that when I can. But I want to show you this way. It is a little bit easier for me. And with Hannah, she also had a fundoplication surgery because she has severe acid reflux, which means it would come up out her nose, out her mouth, and it just wasn't good for her. It wasn't a good experience with her eating. So what they did is they separated the stomach from the wall, and they loosely wrapped it around the bottom of her esophagus, so when she eats, it'll get bigger, it'll inflate, and kind of stop it from going up her esophagus. See, now to me this is going a little bit fast, I think, so I can lower it a little bit, see how that goes. Or I can clamp it again just to give her body just some time to adapt to the food being poured in your belly. And you're going to find what works for you. I'm not a medical professional whatsoever. I'm not giving advice to anyone, telling them what to do. I'm just sharing our own personal experience because we didn't have anything to go by when we found out that Hannah was going to be on the G-tube. Sometimes when I'm feeding her, I'll put my thumb on a certain spot if I'm not sure it's actually going down. I forgot the plunger. If I'm not sure it's going down, and then I can see and know for sure. And you can see here that it is going down. Now at first we had to use, I forgot the other part, but you can push down in here. It's like a little plunger, and it was intimidating at first, but and that would just help to push it down just a little bit to get it going again.
If it should stop. If it should stop.
Yeah, it should stop moving. And so also sometimes when she's eating, if I'm seeing a lot of gas come up, or a lot of air come up through the tube from her tummy, I don't want that to go back into her tummy. So I will just clamp it, and I will unhook it, and I will prime it again. I will do what I did at the beginning, where I will just dump that air back in her bottle and make sure that we get her milk all through the tube, and then I'll just hook her back up. They say a little bit of air doesn't hurt them, but I don't want to put too much back in her belly. And so you just want to keep an eye on it. Now, with Hannah, because she's getting to be such a big girl and grabbing things, I try to make sure that I have a little toy or something that she can play with if she wants it, so she doesn't grab the tube. And other times, if they're grunting or they're tightening up their belly, you're going to find that they can push this all back up, and you can have that milk go all the way back up here again. So sometimes I'll clamp it then, or I'll distract her with my fingers or find something to distract her and get her attention so she will relax those stomach muscles and not be pushing it back up. But she's doing good, and because of her fundoplication surgery, that's the reason I have her more in an upright position. Again, I try to feed her while I'm holding her sometimes, but then her hands are everywhere and she's grabbing at the tube, and I don't want her to pull it out of her stomach. With hers, this one is called the Mickey button, and there's like a little balloon in there with just a little bit of water, and it kind of holds it down in there. But yeah, she's doing fine. And so maybe I'll take her binky again. Just get a little bit of the flavor on there while she's eating, and the connection is good while her tummy is getting filled up. Hey, sweetheart. You just want to keep in mind that normally when you feed a baby, they're close to your face and you're looking at each other and you're connecting, and so that's always good to really pay attention to them and have everything you need nearby. If you need the phone or whatever you need, kind of want to make sure you have everything with you so you don't have to get up and get distracted. But Hannah's doing really well. The reason Hannah's on the G-tube is because she has micro deletions of chromosome 9 and 22. And so her problem was she has a sucking down. You can see that with the binky. That's a good thing. But she had the complication. She wasn't coordinating her swallowing and then the breathing. And so there's a lot going on there I don't think we realize. And so she would aspirate and turn blue. Her food would come back up out of her nose. I mean, she just had a really rough start. And so this is what they needed to do so we could bring her home and feed her safely. And at first it was very intimidating. We were very scared. It took maybe about 2 weeks to get comfortable feeding her. I think sometimes we bring more fear on ourselves because we're not sure what to expect, and it was a little bit different than what we anticipated, which is why we're making this video. Anything that could help anyone else. And again, I'm not a medical professional. You'd always have to speak to your doctor, your pediatrician, your GI doctor, your feeding therapist. The one thing that helped me, I think, was having the home health nurse come in the beginning. So if you have that available to you, I would really recommend that. They can kind of keep an eye on things and see how your baby does. It is different and it's new, but now with Hannah, she'll probably be on the G-tube for maybe about, they're saying 1 year to 2 years because of her genetic condition and it's neurological. They say other babies, maybe it's only 3 to 4 months. She is just beginning to have a little bit of experience with having cereal and with her formula on a spoon. She gets about 1 ounce of formula to 2 teaspoons of cereal. That's what they came up with at her last swallow study. And so that's just for the enjoyment and just having that experience. And so it's going to be a long road for Hannah, but she's doing well. We were a little bit intimidated when they said that this was the first milestone, the sucking and the swallowing and the breathing, and she didn't accomplish that very well. So we just kind of created a lot of fears within ourselves of the future, and we didn't really need to do that at all. And she seems to be doing very well in all her other milestones. And she's a very happy baby. Yes. So the one thing I did is when I went to look up information, I didn't want to overwhelm myself. I just wanted to stick with the basics. There's a lot out there that the children, the babies can sense your fears and your anxieties, and we don't want to put more there than we need. And so I probably went to my Bible more than anything because we're a family of faith, and that's what helped us through. I'm going to put some more in here. Always keeping an eye on it. Okay, Hannah's very tired right now. And so with Hannah, we don't want to lay her flat on her back. We want to keep her more upright. So in her bed, we would have it elevated a little bit. Now there is a machine you can use at night that will automatically pump drips into her belly. You set the speed, how much she gets, and that. But we're trying to get all her feedings in during the day because she is getting older and kind of getting all over the bed, and we don't like that tube hanging in her bed from the machine. But it's not that hard. We were intimidated at first. It took us about 2 weeks to use it. I could make another video showing you if anyone's interested, but it really isn't that hard at all. None of this is that difficult, and the more you do it, you'll be very comfortable. If I need to, if I had to, I can always pick her up while I'm feeding her and do something that can't wait. I can scoot her up while I'm feeding her, but it's good to just have a relaxed atmosphere and have everything you need. Keep an eye on her hands, and that she doesn't scoot down. Maybe have a blanket underneath her legs here. So it's kind of good to keep an eye on the time so you know where you're at, how long it's taking. And when she was first born, we brought her home, and I had a notepad where I would keep track of her feedings. I would write down the time. I would keep track of her bowel movements and all that stuff. Even doctor visits when the nurse came, anything that I felt needed to be documented, and it did come in handy at times when we needed it for reference. So that can always be a good thing. And she's tired. Normally maybe I might have another pillow here. And she's very content. And now sometimes I'll explain to her how the milk is going into her belly and try to use certain words, make the connection for her. And I think she has it figured out, what this means, what's going on, because she knows that she gets full when she sees this. And again, she has her little toy or her rattle. So you don't pull on that. There you go. So this is the last of it. Just kind of let her finish that. And we have a 5-year-old in the house as well. And her name's Abby. And she's so excited to be a big sister and have little Hannah here. And sometimes I like to get her involved. If I can, I'll even let her hold this, as long as I'm right here watching her and she knows the rules. And there you go, take this. Whoops. And sometimes she'll even have good ideas. So it pays to listen to your children, as little as they are. And they like to be part of the whole experience. And there we go. You know, when I see her doing that, I'll want to pay attention and see if any air is coming up or anything like that. She seems to be doing okay. She's just tired, I think. And so you can see. And once in a while, when she'll push something up in here and make it stuck, no one told me to do this, but sometimes I'll just give it a shake. And it seems to loosen up in there, and then it will start to flow again. But then again, you do have the, I forget what it's called. I call it a plunger, but we rarely use it. And that will just be something you insert in there, put a little bit of pressuring to get that flowing again. It has that. So it's going kind of slow. But you can see that it's working its way down. And as long as she stays relaxed in her tummy, she'll be done here in just a couple minutes. Then I'll show you how you flush the tube. But there are websites you can go for children with special needs, and there's services out there. So you always kind of want to do your own research. See what helps. Now with Hannah, I like to use two-piece clothing because of the G-tube. It's easy to get to. When she wears her PJs, I like to have the button-up ones, especially if we have to hook her up to the machine at night. And then we'll have the tube come out of the bottom in between the buttons so she doesn't kick it or anything. But normally she doesn't wear an open-up shirt. I'm just doing that for the video. But having the two-piece outfits are a little bit easier to work with. And sometimes at the beginning, we had to put some gauze underneath there because you want to keep that area dry by the stomach, because that's where the bacteria is going to grow. If it's wet and moist, it needs light and moisture. And so you kind of just want to keep an eye on it and follow your doctor's directions. See, now she's pushing it back up. She can push it all the way back to the top. So I'm going to clamp it for just a second. I'm going to scoot her back up. There you go. She never likes that, but it's better for her to be upright as much as she can. When I feel that she's relaxed, Hannah baby. A lot of times I'll make funny noises with my mouth. They like to watch the mouth and the tongue and funny faces. And sometimes I'll do that, especially at the very end when she's getting restless and tired and ready to be done. And that'll distract her enough for her tummy to relax so she can get the rest of her food. Her GI doctor did say that We could hook her up to her tube before she eats. And if there's any air in her belly, that it will come out before the feeding. Hey, baby. Hey. Hey, sweetheart. Hey, little girl. Yes. Yes, look at you. She's watching her daddy right now, so she's a little distracted. Hey, sweetheart. And then we'll do the little hand thing. Whoa, whoa. See the stars? You just find whatever works to distract your little ones so they're not upset. Okay. I'm going to lift it up a little bit higher and just try and get the rest of this down in her belly. So it's always a good idea too, if you run across questions or concerns, to just write those things down so at your next doctor visit, whoever you're seeing, that they can answer them, or even call your pediatrician, whoever you're seeing. And they're usually really good about wanting to be helpful. And so here we see it going down. Now with Hannah, we don't burp her. She's not. No. Hey, baby. No, you don't do that. You don't do that. You don't do that when you're eating. So she doesn't really burp because she's not getting an oral feeding. But I do like to pick her up and hold her and get her upright and keep her upright. They say for about a half an hour before we actually lay her down for nap. There we go. See, now we're coming close to the end, and as long as she stays relaxed, that'll going nice and smooth. So you just learn as you go what's going to work for you. I'm not a doctor. I cannot give advice. This is just our own experience and what we're learning along the way. Since we're out in public, sometimes we're feeding her and people will stop and look, and I don't mind at all if people ask. We get curious when we see something different and not sure what it is, so I don't see a problem with that. And you encourage your friends, maybe if you feel the same way, to not be afraid to ask questions. She's coming down to the end. I'm going to pour some water in here that's going to flush the milk out and out of the button area down here. So when her milk gets, for me, when her milk is coming down to about here, I'll pour some water in. I'm clamping it right now because she's starting to push it back up, and then the milk gets a little bit too mixed with the water. I'm going to unclamp it. I'm going to watch. This is white. I'm going to watch for where it's more clear. And I'm going to clamp it. Plus you can pay attention up here. As you see this going down, you know it's going down the tube. We don't want to leave any milk residue down there. So now this is clamped. I'm going to pour this back in here so I don't spill it. The lid back on. All done. And I'm going to take this off. I'm just going to turn it to the left until it lines up with that black button again. The two lines line up together. Remember, when you put it on, you're pushing it in there, but it's not going to hurt her. And then I put this back on. It opens. And you close it. And now Hannah is all done eating. I'll gently lift her. All done. Now she has a full belly and she's all done with her feeding. And thanks for watching. Any questions, just put it below on the comments, and anything else maybe. Again, we're not doctors. This is just our own personal experience, and you need to speak with your own medical professional to get your advice. But this is Hannah. We just wanted to share and help anyone else who might be going through this like we are. So thank you.